Everybody, please welcome director Reynaldo Marcus Green. You're getting a standing ovation. You can't see, but.
Thank you, guys. That's great. I can see it. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Congratulations, Reynaldo. What an incredible, gang, last night his film won Best Editing at the ACE, the Editors Guild, Pamela Martin. That's a huge achievement. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I met Pam at the Sundance Lab in 2017 with my very first film, Monsters and Men. And, I was able to go back, to my advisor and say, look, I got Will Smith. Would you come on board to edit this movie with me? And Little Miss Sunshine and The Fighter were two films that I really looked at for this particular film. The work that she did in the van in Little Miss Sunshine, I thought was remarkable. Every character in that movie, and so I sought after Pam, and to see her, receive this recognition is remarkable. She deserves it. I'm just so happy for her.
It is a really, you and I did a Q&A back in September. And we talked about the editing, the fact that the film is 3 chapters. You have the Los Angeles, then you have the Rick Massey training, and then you have the pro tour. And nimbly we shift from chapter to chapter. Tell us about the process with Pamela of creating that transition.
Yeah, it started early. Lots of conversations about tone and the way Pam works. She's working as I'm shooting, so she's constantly putting things together for me to look at, and she can do it very, very quickly and tell me what I'm missing, or if there's performances that I should look at, or I can get more of something. And so it's just a very fluid process. She's very organized. At the end of every day, she makes a list, and she'll go through every scene and say, this worked really, really well, this worked really well. You might want to consider this, you might want to consider that. So I have an opportunity, if we're shooting in the same location, to either go get additional footage or to look within scenes for opportunities. And of course, tracking it over the course of a movie. Sanaya, for instance, Sanaya Sidney, who plays
amazing,
who plays Venus Williams. She's very quiet in the first half of the film, and to make sure that she's taking agency at the end, and just looking at the nuances of each of the characters, each of those things. It's constant communication with your editor throughout the process, and then of course the tennis scenes are their own. It's its own thing. Fortunately for me, Pam cut Battle of the Sexes, and so she had experience, but that's very traditional TV coverage, and that's not what we were doing here. This is very, very different. Where we are with Robert Elswit shooting on, our cameras are, we're using long lenses. We're on the court a lot of the times. We're breaking angles, and so very different coverage because it's not televised matches like she was doing in Battle of the Sexes. And I was very adamant from early on. I did not want to use announcers. So in the final matches, we're not relying on announcers to tell us how to feel. And I know Pam was like, "Are you sure you want to make that choice?" And I said, "Look, that's not this movie. If I have to do that, I feel like I've lost. I really want to be on my characters' faces. I want to tell the story through the action, through the emotion of these characters." And so we worked in order to do that. We worked very, very closely, with Robert, obviously, our production designers, all working in concert. But Pam's communication is amazing. She works a lot with music, so she used a lot of temp score that I can look at to kind of cut the rhythm of things. But there were a few breakthroughs in the edit that were not part of the original script that I think really, the opening of the movie, that sort of montage that opens up the film, right, that really changed from its original, inception. And then, the junior section really took flight. The cross-cutting with Ingenue and Demi, and that montage, that's all Pam kind of discovering that in the edit, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, well, it's incredible editing, and she deserves all the accolades that are coming her way. I want to ask you about the fact that now the film, it's open for a while, and it's getting nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Editing. At the heart of this film is family, and but it's an African American family, and it's so powerful to see a happy African American family being portrayed on the big screen. And tell us about the importance of seeing that on the screen.
It's exactly that. We just don't get stories like that. We don't get stories where we see ourselves in this light, supporting each other. And I think the Williams family, their story is so unique. It's so rare. There's not the infighting that you see in lots of families. Everybody was supporting each other. The older sisters were picking up balls and hanging signs for their younger sisters. I mean, in what world does that happen? And to be able to see this family, bind together to help create these champions. Of course, Richard, right? He had the vision. It was his vision for the girls to play tennis. But without Oracene, without this amazing mom who was, really the centerpiece, the backbone of the family, guiding that process. She was really, instrumental. And if you look on, there's not a lot of public information of the real Oracene Price. So there's, a lot of that, we didn't know too much about her. So in prep, we were able to sit down with Oracene, sit down with Venus, sit down with Serena, and ask them, what was it really like? Tell us the stories, and so we can fill in those gaps in the script that we knew that were going to be there. And they wanted us to go there. The story in the kitchen, that's almost verbatim from Oracene Price. She was the one that told us. He showed up in that red Nissan truck. This came out of her mouth. And so we were able to then infuse those moments into the script, talk about the family, show the family. Like, I didn't know about the other sisters. That was a discovery to me. I knew that there were sisters, but I didn't know how involved they were in the family's life. And so these were the things that I was able to work with Zach Baylin, who wrote a tremendous script, really
Incredible.
Phenomenal script. But we were able to then say, hey, look at all these stories. Let's go back and fill this out together. And that's how the process was. It was a really collective process.
You speak about Oracene, and to me, that was also a revelation, because I thought that I'm used to seeing the mother in sports stories, that she is a cheerleader. And for us to find out that she is a driving force, she's a coach. Was that a revelation for you as well?
Oh, 100%. So, of course, I was looking at everything I could find of Richard on the internet, and we had archivists pulling stuff. And like I said, there wasn't a lot from Oracene, but when I actually sat with her, and she was like, Richard got that open stance for me. She said to me, I was like, oh, tell me more. And I guess when she was pregnant, she couldn't get her hips around. And so, open stance became a thing, and Richard exploited it. but it was certainly, the idea came and was born from Oracene. And so we would hear these stories, and it was great. I said, well, let's put that in the movie. So it's not, the tennis, it was try to figure out how much tennis do we need to tell this story. I didn't grow up a tennis player. I didn't grow up on playing tennis or watching tennis. So I needed the movie to be enjoyable for someone like me as well. And I just wanted to be able to get the tennis right. Okay, how can we make the tennis authentic, but have it part of the storytelling? And so, Richard introducing, open stance to the game of tennis. That's something that the Williams family actually gave to the game. And we wanted to make sure that we got that in the script, that we got that in the film. And these stories came right from the family. And without those meetings, without those early meetings, without their influence, I don't think we would have been able to, make the movie we did.
One of the great successes of the film is that you guys were able to crack this window of what to tell. And you could, the Williams sisters have had a long history, and you could have shown us the latter successes, et cetera, but you were very specific about what you were telling. And tell us the process to arriving to cracking that window?
So, another kudos to Zach Baylin. He, was approached by Tim and Trevor White, the producers of the film, and he essentially pitched them this idea and this window into their lives. When I first got the script, I just thought that's what I really responded to. It was this period of time that we didn't know about the Williams family, and we all know the champions that they've become, but we didn't, the journey to get there was what was fascinating to me. In the original script, there were some flashbacks, and those were the things that I came in and we started to refine. What do we need to say? Do we need to actually see Richard go to Shreveport and do these things? So we started to cut some areas out to streamline what do we need to show in this 2.5 hours movie, to be able to tell this story. But Zach really cracked that window. It's so unique, it's so rare, and it's perfect. Even for fans of Serena, to know that Venus was first, or be reminded that Venus was the oldest, that she was there first, and Serena couldn't even play. Like, these are things that it's hard to remember unless you were tracking them from a very early age. And so I think it was just important to tell their story in the way that they wanted to tell it, and share these little insights into the family. And it's funny, and it's emotional, and it's hard not to watch this family and not root for them.
Yeah, and deservedly, the script is nominated for the Oscar for best screenplay. Tell us about the chapter of the Rick Macy training. In a different sports film, it would be a montage. It would be like they're getting ready. Instead, we linger in that space, and it's a wonderful time. Tell us about arriving to that.
Yeah, actually, in the original script, it was more of a montage, and I think, actually we were shut down for 6 months with COVID, and we shot the first 3 weeks of, we shot almost chronologically, so we shot most of the Compton aspects of the film before we shut down, and so during that period of time, we were then able to actually use that period of shutdown to go back into the script and to prep that period of time. And we realized, look, Rick Macy is such a wonderful character in this film. We really want to explore this world, and make it more about something. What's happening with Richard at this time? At this particular period of time in the script, Sanaya's character, Venus is really taking agency. She's starting to realize she's getting older. She's getting anxious. She's wanting to play. She's wanting to show her skills to the world, and we wanted to make that particular part of the film about that. And so we were able to, obviously we have a time jump, a 4-year time jump in the film, and we wanted to just ensure that we were tracking the emotional storytelling, the arcs of what's happening at that particular moment in the film. The interview where Richard interrupts actually technically it happened after the timeline of our film. And I remember when I saw that interview, I said, that has to be in the movie. I know it doesn't technically fit in that window, but it is so important and instrumental to that particular point in our film. And it's, obviously it shows us a lot about Richard's character and what he, how complicated of a person he is. But it doesn't make it any less true that it happened. It just takes on a new context in our film. And in that moment is when she goes out.
But other than moving a few things around, everything we saw is factual.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, excellent. Now, going back to that time period that you guys were shut down because of COVID, you and I have spoken in the past about this. One of the beautiful things about it is that the ladies, the young actresses actually grew during that period. So that helped with the filming, correct?
Yeah, I mean, they both grew 2 inches, both Sanaya and Demi. I mean, I felt like, in Uratu or something, it was like, very, very blessed that they were growing at that particular period of time. you know, you could not have asked for better luck. You know, we got very lucky because we didn't have to shoot anything or reshoot anything that we had gotten. And so we were already going to Florida. That transition was great. Look, I can't say enough great things about Demi and Sanaya. You know, they didn't play tennis at all. So when they came to us, they had never been on a tennis court, neither one of them. So just to be able
And Sonia is left-handed.
She is left-handed.
And she had to not only learn tennis, but she had to learn it as a right-handed person.
Exactly, but she had a pretty mean backhand, so that helped her. And we favored a lot of that. That was her best stroke. But they ended up getting so good that we were able to use a lot of them in the film, and so we trained them for months. Just how to hold the racket, and doing suicides on a tennis court. We trained them with actual coaches that had worked with Venus and Serena as young kids, and so we can be very specific about how Serena held the racket versus Venus. And these are all the things that hopefully you just feel when you watch the movie. You may not know, but those are the things that make it, bring the Williams family closer to the audience.
Yeah. We spoke earlier about the revelation of Oracene, and that her whole arc. Now the revelation of casting Anjanou Ellis in the role. Tell us about casting her. And she's nominated for Best Supporting Actress. She'll be here at the Arlington tonight.
I mean, I can't say enough great things about Anjanou. I'd seen an audition tape, and I didn't really know too much of Anjanou's work. But when I saw the tape, I was very, very impressed. And I said, whoa, she is extremely powerful. And I remember she came to Will's house, and we went through a scene. And I remember looking at Will after the scene, we were just kind of side-eyeing each other, we found Oracene. It was amazing. We didn't tell her then. She went back to her car.
Cruel.
No, you can't do that. Can't do that. Gotta let them sweat a little bit. And she, but we knew right then and there I had found my Oracene. And I met Oracene, as I said, in prep, and she had this quiet strength, this inner beauty, this thing that the intangibles, and Anjanou just had that, and she's just a beautiful person. She's an incredible actress, and she brought it every day. She used all the real estate that she had, which was not that much, and she absolutely, she brought great ideas every day. She brought such an intensity and a humanity to that particular role. She did Oracene a lot of justice.
I mentioned that to you earlier in the fall. I will repeat it again. The scene in the kitchen between the two of them is one of the greatest scenes in cinema I've seen in a very long time. And I heard Anjanou mention that was done in one take. Is that right?
No, I don't want to. Definitely a couple takes, but no, it was a tough day. It was a tough day because actually we were supposed to shoot the scene with Will and Demi.
No. What she said, I'm sorry, I was wrong. That it wasn't rehearsed.
Yes. So we ended up doing a lot of rehearsal. We didn't actually get a lot of takes, but we rehearsed the scene for several hours before we ended up shooting that scene. And that's not typical because we had another scene on the back end of that day, and we took all the time. Actually, the funny part about that entire scene is that it wasn't supposed to happen in the kitchen. So we had gotten a Florida house. It was supposed to be for Florida. And the designer said, we design all these other rooms, but the kitchen's not designed, so, just don't go in the kitchen. So we get there, and, we start blocking the scene, and Anjanou and Will are going in the kitchen. But, I'm like, okay, well, they're going in the kitchen. They're going in the kitchen, and, we're walking through the scene, and we're blocking the scene, and it feels very natural. But I'm like, okay, we don't have props. Get some orange juice from Crafty. I mean, we're getting orange juice from Crafty and the peanut butter sandwiches from Crafty. None of that stuff was there. And you know, the producers were like, well, it's not designed. I said, look, if we're worried about, you know, the modern appliances we've lost at this point in the movie, this is where the actors feel most natural in the house to go. We're going to go there. And sure enough, the scene happened in the kitchen. We blocked it. We found the rhythm of the scene. And, you know, look, like you, I got the hairs on my arm and we're standing up. And so much so that I remember when Aunjanue gives that performance, Will was like, if you like that, you didn't get the other reverse of me on that size, if you want to get it. So it was just so great to be able to discover and find that scene with them, really work through that process, and forget about all of the other things that we weren't supposed to be and where we weren't supposed to be. That's exactly where we were supposed to be in making that scene. It is one of my favorite scenes in the film. I think they're both tremendous, and yeah, it was wonderful to see them perform.
And when did Will Smith get involved in the process of the film?
Will was on before I came on to the film, so he's a producer as well. So, you know, Will essentially interviewed me. He was the last step in my interview process to get the film. And of course, I walk in the room and I just said to Will, look, my dad wore those short shorts. So I knew that man. I knew that man. You know, I may not have been raised to be a tennis champion, but you know, I spent the first third of my life in a baseball uniform, and my dad thought he was raising a Major League Baseball player. So I knew what it was like to have a father. I knew what it was like to grow up in a rough neighborhood, but being shielded by my father and having this support system. And my dad did it with love. Somehow, I mean, tricked me, but he did it with love. And I think that's what this family was able to do. The Williams family did it with love, is you know, for all of his misgivings, for everything that, you know, for all that he's not perfect for. They gave those kids that love. They gave those kids that time. They gave those kids the attention. And I think about myself as a father now, like, man, am I doing enough? Am I on my phone when I'm home? Am I paying enough attention to my own children? That family was there, yeah, they deserve all the credit. It's amazing.
Well, he's nominated for Best Actor, and he just won the SAG Award for Best Performance by Mel. He does it. It's surreal. It's a full transformation, but very little makeup. Is internal work. You know, tell us about his transformation for you.
Yeah, well, when we first came on, you know, the studio, we tried everything. We went through a full prosthetics, and you know, as look, they made him look like Richard Williams, and I said, look, that's wonderful, but I don't want that. It's distracting to me. So we pared it down. We have some mild prosthetics. It's enough where we can take sort of the shine off, and for you to not know what changed about Will. Obviously, his body language, his dialect, you know, he has a lot that he's working through. And we just talked about that. I said, look, I don't want the film to be about your nose or the costume or any of that. It's about your performance. And Will trusted me. We found what you now see in the film. And then we worked through that. Look, Will taught me about his process. You know, when I went to Will's production company, Will had the entire script on index cards. So literally the entire script printed out, each scene on index cards, the header of the scene, the emotional beat of the scene, and you know, it was color coded. So, you know, most of it was white, there were some pink cards, there were some orange cards, and there were some green cards. And of course I was like, what do the colors mean? And for him, it was some of the areas that were still fuzzy or that we can talk about in the script. And so that's the way, you know, I was invited into Will's process. And, you know, like a coach player, it's like you got to feel your players out a little bit. Like, how does he like to work? What is his system? And he is, I mean, nobody works harder. You know, I have to, you know, tip my cap to Will. You know, you hear the horror stories about some people that, oh, you're going to get their shoulder and then you're working with the body double. That's like the furthest thing from Will. Will recites his lines, drives himself to work. He's one of the most committed actors I've seen ever. You know, and he's as giving off screen as he is on screen. he became a set dad to Sanaya and Demi and all the girls in the van. Really a tremendously open heart. He's fun. He would also be rapping like Big Willie, but with Richard's accent, so it was cool. He was always in character, so, and he just had fun. He just had fun. And I say it jokingly, but I really mean it. I think the short shorts really put him in character. It was his Superman cape. He put those on, and he was immediately Richard Williams. We had a lot of fun making the movie. I think Will really gave 110%. We just really enjoyed the process of making the movie together.
One of the most, I mentioned to you that Sanaya Sidney was part of the Virtuosos last night. And one of the most, actually I'm going to get emotional telling you this, is that hearing her speak about working with, she kept referring to Will Smith. She said, Mr. Will.
Mr. Will.
Mr. Will. But she was just so lovingly talking about him. And she kept saying, Mr. Will. Obviously, you guys created such a close-knit family working together. It was very moving.
No, thank you. And look, maybe it's the athlete in me, but we definitely went through like a camp. We certainly spent a lot of time in prep becoming a family. I don't think you can become a family on set. That work happens before. When Sanaya got the job, Demi, who plays Serena, was living in New York. I said, look, you're the older sister. You call her every night. And we did little things like that. We just, we became a family. And all of the girls in the van, we did so much work. They did yoga together. They did lots of body movement together. We spent a lot of time actually trying to create those scenes in the van before we ever got in the van, so that we had this chemistry. And all of the script reads, we did breakout sessions, Will and Ingenue, and then Sanaya, Will and Ingenue, and we would do all these things that I think paid dividends once we got on set, because we weren't just learning each other, seeing each other for the first time. And everybody was game to do that, and Will gave us that access. With Will, we got more prep time than I think I had on my whole entire first feature to make it and shoot it and edit it. So, that's the luxury sometimes when you're working with somebody like Will, that we were able to utilize that prep time in a way that I think really paid dividends in the script. So, what you see is not made up. When I would call cut, those girls were having a blast. They love each other. They are as close as you see on screen. They will be a family for life, and I don't think you can make that up.
And you mentioned that the Williams sisters involved in the entire process. How do they feel about the final product?
One of the most amazing, everything has been so tremendous. The response to the film, one of the best feelings I've had is recently. It was right after the SAG Awards. Venus Williams was there, and of course I met her in prep, but I never had her alone at any time. And it was right after the SAG. We met up at a hotel, and it was just 10 minutes of Venus and I sitting next to each other, and she just said, "Thank you. What you did for my family, we are so happy. I love the movie, and I couldn't be more proud." And to have Venus Williams, I'm getting emotional because that's what we make the movie for, to be able to share their family story in a way that feels authentic to them, and that we did that justice, like that is everything to me. So to hear that from her, it just means the world, obviously, for everybody. There's so many people that don't get credit, right? With Robert Elswit, who shot the movie, and Pamela Martin, who edited, and Wynn Thomas, production designer. So many people, Chris Bowers, his music. So many craftsmen on this film, and our cast, tremendous cast. John Bernthal, Tony Goldwyn, so many folks who helped us to create this film. So to be able to share this with the Williams family, it means everything.
Yeah. Last question. Beyonce Carter wrote a song for the movie and is nominated for Best Original Song. Tell us about working with Miss Carter.
Well, the only thing I could say is that I put it out in the earth. I think in the ether. You have to speak it into existence. When I was thinking about who would be perfect for this film, I thought, man, how lucky would we be to get Beyonce to do, to do a song for the film. And sure enough, we had gotten through the movie, we had gotten through, we had already cut the film. And word got to her, she saw the movie, and she had the perfect song for us. And so that song came in the 11th hour, and it, I think it's perfect for the film. Her voice, what she means to a community of a generation of kids, her power, her strength, it's incredible. So, I did not necessarily work with her directly, but I am blessed, and we are blessed to have her on our film.
And speaking of blessings, how did it feel when you woke up on Oscar Day and nominations and Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Song, Best Editing, Best Screenplay?
My mom was like, "Did you do something?" I was like, so I woke up. I was late. I guess it was early. I missed the announcement, but I woke up. My mom called me and she just said, "Ronaldo, did you do something?" I was like, I don't know. And of course, I checked the messages. Look, for every nomination, it's remarkable. They deserve it. It feels great. That's what you work hard for, right? You want to make a great film, and you want that film to be recognized. So I'm very, very happy, proud, and content. I loved the movie personally. As someone that directed the film, I could watch it and be so proud of that. When my kids grow up, they can say, "Dad made that," and everything else is icing on the cake.
Wow. Thank you, Reynaldo, for being here. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.